Shalom. Hi. This is part 2 of the Daily Bread. I realized yesterday I was only supposed to read the first couple of verses of Genesis 2. I got carried away. We were going to pick up, though, from Genesis 4, read Genesis 2, verse 4, all to Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. We'll read Joshua 3 and 4, Psalms 3 and 4, Proverbs 2, and we'll finish up with Matthew 2. Okay. Genesis 4. Genesis 2, verse 4. These are the births of the heavens and the earth, and they were created. And in the day Yahweh Elohim made earth and heavens. Now no shrub of the field was yet on the earth, and no plant in the field had yet sprung up, for Yahweh Elohim had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the entire surface of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed the man out of dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils breath of lives, and the man became a living being. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden in Eden to the east, and he put the man whom he had formed and out of the ground Yahweh Elohim made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, with the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there divided and became 4 heads. The name of the first head is Pishon. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Hawaii, where there is gold, and the gold of the land is good. Bethlehem is there, and the Shoham stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one that goes towards the east of Asher. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, Eat of every tree of the garden, but do not eat the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For in the day that you eat it, you shall certainly die. And Yahweh Elohim said, It is not good for man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart. And from the ground Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the earth, of the field, and every birds of the heavens, and brought them to the man to see what he could call them. And whatever the man called each living being was its name. And the Genesis, Joshua 3 and 4. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Shimon, and came to the Jordan. And he and the children of Israel stayed there before they passed over. And it came to be after 3 days that the officers went into the midst of the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, When you see the ark of the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and follow it. Only keep a distance between you and it, about 2,000 cubits at measure. Do not come near it, so that you know which way to go, for you have not passed over this way before. And Joshua said to the people, set yourselves apart, for tomorrow Yahweh is doing wonders in your midst. And Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, take up the ark of the covenant and pass over before the people. So they took up the ark of the covenant and went before the people. And Yahweh said to Joshua, this day I begin to make you great before the eyes of all Israel, so that they know that I am with you, as I was with Moshe. And you command the priests who bear the ark of the covenant, saying, when you come over the edge of the water of the Jordan, stand in the Jordan. And Joshua said to the children of Israel, come near and hear the words of Yahweh your Elohim. And Joshua said, by this you shall know that the living El is in your midst, and that he is certainly driving out from before you the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Holites and the Pezerites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Ubites. And the ark of the covenant of the master of all the earth is passing over before you in the Jordan. And now take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 man from every tribe. And it shall be, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark of Yahweh, the master of all the earth, come to rest in the waters of the Jordan, that the waters of the Jordan are cut off, the waters that come down from upstream and stand up as a heap. And it came to be, when the people set out from their tents to pass over the Jordan, with the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And as those bearing the ark came to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark dipped in the edge of the water. Now the Jordan overflows all its banks during all the time of the harvest. And the waters which came down from upstream stood still, and rose in a heap very far away at Adam, the city that is beside Sardeth. And the waters going down into the sea of Arad, the salt sea, were cut off, and the people passed over opposite Jericho. And the priests bearing the ark of the covenant of Yahweh stood firm on ground in the midst of the Jordan. And all Israel passed over on dry ground, until all the nation had completely passed over the Jordan. Joshua 4. And it came to be, when the entire nation had completely passed over the Jordan, that Yahweh spoke to Joshua, saying, take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe, and command them, saying, take for yourselves 12 stones from here, out of the midst of the Jordan, and from the place where the priest's feet stood firm, and you shall bring them with you, and leave them in the camp in which you spend the night. And Joshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the children of Israel, 1 man from every tribe. And Joshua said to them, pass over before the ark of the Yahweh, your Elohim, into the midst of the Jordan, and each one of you take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of Israel, so that it shall be a sign in your midst when your children ask in time to come, saying, what do these stones mean to you? When you shall answer them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. When it was passed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off, and those stones shall be the remembrance to the children of Israel forever. And the children of Israel did so, as Joshua commanded, and took 12 stones from the midst of the Jordan, as Yahweh had spoken to Joshua according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, and took them over with them to their camp, and laid them down there. Joshua also set up 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests who bore the ark of the covenant stood. And there were, and they are there to this day. And the priests who bore the ark stood in the midst of the Jordan until every matter was finished that Yahweh had commanded Joshua to speak to the people, according to all that Moses had commanded. Joshua and the people hastened and passed over. And it came to be, when all the people had completely passed over, that the ark of Yahweh and the priests passed over in the presence of the people. And the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and half the tribe of the Manasseh passed over in fives before the children of Israel, as Moshe had spoken to them. 40,000 armed ones of the army passed over before Yahweh for battle to the desert plains of Jericho. On that day Yahweh made Joshua great before the eyes of all Israel, and they feared him as they had feared Moshe all the days of his life. And Yahweh spoke to Joshua, saying, Command the priests to bear the ark of the witness, and let them come up from the Jordan. And Joshua commanded the priests, saying, Come up from the Jordan. And it came to be, when the priests who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh had come from the midst of the Jordan, and the soles of the priests touched the dry land, that the waters of the Jordan returned to their place, and flowed over all the banks as before. And the people came up from the Jordan on the 10th day of the first new moon, and camped in Gilgad, on the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan, Joshua set up in Gilgad. And he said to the children of Israel, saying, When your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What are these stones? Then you shall let your children know, saying, Israel passed over this Jordan on dry land. For Yahweh your Elohim dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you passed over, as Yahweh your Elohim did to the sea of reeds, which he dried up before us until we passed over, so that all the people of the earth shall know the hand of Yahweh, that it is strong, so that you shall fear Yahweh your Elohim forever. End of Joshua 4. We'll be reading Psalms 3 and 4. 3. Psalms 3. O Yahweh, how my adversaries have increased. Many rising up against me. Many are saying of me, There is no deliverance from him in Elohim, Selah. But you, O Yahweh, are a shield for me, my esteem, and the one lifting up my head. I cried to Yahweh with my voice, and he heard me from his set-apart mountain. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for Yahweh sustained me. I am not afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Yahweh, save me, my Elohim, because you have stricken all my enemies on the cheek. You have broken the teeth of the wrong. Deliverance belongs to Yahweh. Your blessing is on your people, Salah. Psalms 4. Answer me when I call, O Elohim of my righteousness. You gave relief to me when I was in distress. Show favor, blessing to me, and hear my prayer. Till when, O you sons of men? Would you turn my glory to shame? Would you love emptiness and seek falsehood, Salah? But know that Yahweh has separated a loving, committed one for himself. Yahweh hears when I call to him. Tremble and do not sin. Speak within your heart on your bed and be still, Salah. Slaughterings of righteousness, and trust in Yahweh. Many are saying, who would show us good? Yahweh, lift up the light of your face upon us. You have put more gladness in my heart than in the season that their grain and wine increased. I lie down in peace altogether and sleep. For you alone, O Yahweh, make me dwell in safety. Proverbs 2. My son, if you accept my words and treasure up my commands with you, so that you make your ear attend to wisdom, incline your heart to understanding. For if you cry for discernment, lift your voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures, then you would understand the fear of Yahweh and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahweh gives wisdom. Out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. And he treasures up stability for the straight, a shield to those walking blamelessly, to walk over the paths of right ruling. The way of his loving committed ones he guards. Then you would understand righteousness and right ruling and straightness for every good path. For wisdom would enter your heart, and knowledge be pleasant to your being. Discretion would guard you. Understanding would watch over you, to deliver you from the evil way, from the man who speaks perversities, to those who leave the paths of straightness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil. They delight in the perversities of evil, whose paths are crooked, and they are perverted in their ways, to deliver you from the strange woman, from the foreigner who flatters you with her words, who forsakes the companion of her youth, who has forgotten the covenant of her Elohim. For her house has sunk down to death, and her paths lead to death. None going to her does return, nor does they reach the path of life. So walk in the way of goodness, and guard the path of righteousness. For the straight shall dwell in the earth, and the perfect be left in it. But the wrong shall be cut off from the earth, and the treacherous ones plucked out of it. Now we're going to read more Matthew 2. And Yeshua, having been born in Bethlehem of Judah in the days of Herod the sovereign, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born sovereign of the Judean, of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east, and have come to do reverence to him. And Herod the sovereign, having heard, was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And having gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. And they said to him, in Bethlehem of Judah, for thus is written by the prophet. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, you are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you shall come a ruler who shall shepherd my people Israel. That's from Micah. Right? Yeah, it's from Micah. Micah 5:2, that verse. Then Herod, having called the Magi secretly, learned exactly from them what time the star appeared. And having sent them to Bethlehem, he said, "Go and search diligently for the child. And when you have found him, bring back word to me, so that I might go and do reverence to him." And having heard the sovereign, they went, and see, the star which they had seen in the east went before them until it came and stood over where the child was. And seeing the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And coming into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and did reverence to him. And opening their treasures, they presented to him gifts of gold, of frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod's, they departed for their own country by another way. And when they had left, see, a messenger of Yahweh appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Arise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Mizraim, and remain there until I bring you word, for Herod is about to seek the child to destroy him." Old Testament, Elohim, God, is telling everybody not to go there. It's a bad place, but here he's doing the opposite. And rising up, he took the child and his mother by night and departed for Mizraim. Joseph hears he's given them, all right, boom, we're executing, right? And remained there until the death of Herod, to fill what was spoken by Yahweh through the prophet, saying, "Out of Mizraim I have called my son." That is from used in Exodus 4:22 and 23, Hosea 11:1, and Revelations 21:7. References to them. When Herod, having seen that he was fooled by the Magi, was greatly enraged, and sent forth and slew all the male children of Bethlehem and in all its borders for 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had exactly learnt from the Magi. Then was filled with what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, "A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and weeping, and great mourning, Rahel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted, because they were no more." Jeremiah 31:15, that's from. And Herod's having died, see, a messenger of Yahweh appeared in a dream to Joseph in Mizraim, saying, "Arise, take the child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel. For those seeking the life of the child are dead." And rising up, he took the child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But hearing that Archelaus was reigning over Judah instead of his father Herod's, he was afraid to go there. And having been warned in a dream, he departed to the parts of Gilead, and came and dwelt in a city there called Nazareth, thus to fill what was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible. Put your own eyes on there. Do your own reading. And most importantly, talk to the Father.